아래 당저 가서 한글 쉬버렸네. 나랑신 멤비 셈 공로 침보다 두수녀모 두수전.
Good morning. So yesterday we continued to look at this remarkable brief text, and we saw in the verses yesterday how we need to continue to relate to others as seeing them as more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, coming to recognize that or relate to them as being of great value. And we also saw, or newly mentioned yesterday, that we should differentiate the person from their afflictions, so that when we are in the presence of someone who is deeply disturbed, who's upset, and in particular if they're taking that out on us, be very clear through our prior training that their mind right now is overwhelmed by their afflictions. This is not a reflection on them as a person. They are not a bad person. Rather, they are overwhelmed by their afflictions and they are in pain. Recognizing that then, the mind will naturally be patient, undisturbed in the face of this adversity, and then one's heart can open towards them, and one can respond in a skillful manner with love and with compassion. So this yesterday is how we saw how by training our mind, we can deal with challenging situations in a way that is not afflicted, and we can help those in great pain. So this text is presenting the essential meaning of the Buddha Dharma, the very essence of the Buddha Dharma, in that happiness comes about independence on specific causes. Suffering too comes about independence on specific causes. In our very first talk a couple of days ago, it was there mentioned that we all are the same on a fundamental level, wanting to abide in happiness, live a life free of problems. And the source of our problems are twofold, either the physical world or the world of consciousness. And of the two, the mental suffering is far more powerful. Then the solution to these two sources of problems and difficulties are either to change our material world, to develop the physical world, or to develop our mental world, our way of thinking. And again, of these two solutions, it's through transforming the mind. This is the most powerful solution. So what we've been looking at thus far has helped us to gain a deeper understanding of the mind, and thereby come to recognize which ways of thinking are wholesome and therefore are causes that lead to happiness, and which ways of thinking are unwholesome or non-virtuous and are causes that lead to suffering. With this knowledge, we then have something to train our mind in, to meditate on. So as one gathers knowledge, that knowledge is to be integrated through this process of meditation or habituation to these wholesome ways of thinking. And by doing so repeatedly over a sustained period, this is how we develop new mental habits, how we change our very way of thinking. So thus, what we've been looking at here is the essential meaning, the very essence of the Buddha Dharma, that in dependence on specific causes, happiness follows, and in dependence on other causes, suffering follows. Likewise, by taking that knowledge and applying it, lasting happiness will be attained. And in this light, there's a famous verse from the Buddha where he said, "I cannot remove the suffering of beings with my hands. I cannot wash away their negativities with water. I cannot transfer my realizations to you. The only way I can help is by teaching you and you striving to liberate yourselves." So the meaning is very clear, and it's entirely in accordance with what we are seeing here. The Buddha cannot do the work for us. Despite the Buddha being a perfected being, the Buddha cannot remove our suffering with his hands, nor can he wash away our negative karmic imprints. Nor can he give us good qualities in the way that a parent will feed their dear child. The Buddha cannot give his realizations to us. How the Buddha helps is by teaching which are the ways, which types of minds lead to happiness and which lead to suffering, and how to cultivate, strengthen our habituation to wholesome minds, and how to break our habituation to unwholesome minds. The Buddha can teach that, present that, but then it is up to us to take that and to internalize it, to integrate it, to train our mind in this way. This is how we achieve liberation from suffering, and it's through this process too we can be of ever more benefit to others. So the meaning of this verse needs to be taken to heart, because one needs to understand the role that we play in terms of transforming our mind, but that this role is an interdependency. We are dependent on receiving correct guidance, but then our role is to cultivate that guidance in the way that we have been trained. And it's through this process of transforming our minds in dependence on the correct or complete and unmistaken method that has worked for countless beings, that we too will be able to gain freedom from these afflictions, freedom from suffering. And what we've looked at thus far, if we were to present it very briefly, we start by recognizing how much we have in common with others, that any difference that we perceive, whether it's physical in terms of personality or culture, these things are of no importance, because at a fundamental level, we are all the same in yearning for happiness and to be freed of problems and difficulties. And by engaging in reflection on recognizing our deep connection with others, our interdependence with others, we'll value them, hold them as dear. And thereby, we'll be able to give rise to a genuine wish. May beings abide beings abide in happiness. This is the mind of love. May they be free from any form of suffering. This is the mind of compassion. Developing these further beyond being a mere wish to the point where, and I will make this happen. I will ensure that beings understand what are the causes of happiness and how to accumulate them, and the causes that will lead to suffering and how to abandon them. I take it as my responsibility to guide others in this knowledge. But to do that, I have to become a Buddha. Therefore, I will become a Buddha for the sake of others. And this is the mind of bodhicitta. And generating bodhicitta, which starts with recognizing our interdependence with others and coming to value them sincerely, we then set out in training our mind so as to fulfill this wish of bodhicitta. And this is expressed through the trainings of generosity, ethical restraint, patience, and joyous perseverance. So those four we've looked at already of the 6 perfections. So in our text, love, compassion, and patience are most explicitly presented, but through my explanation, you've come to hear as well about the perfections that are also included. So this then is in brief the whole meaning of the paths of the Mahayana and what is presented in our text here. In the first verse of this text, we were guided in how to recognize our connection with others, our interdependence with them, and to develop a deep appreciation for others, a valuing of others, and use this as a basis to develop genuine love and compassion for all others without exception. Then in the second verse, we are presented with guidance on the need to guard our mind whilst we are in the company of others. In that, if we are valuing others, holding them as dear, if the mind of pride arises within us, this is contrary to valuing others, because now we're seeing ourselves as superior. We may see ourselves superior entirely or in certain contexts and look down on them. This is contrary to the training that we are embarking on holding others as dear, as valuing others. Moreover, in guarding ourselves against pride, we are guided in the recognition that we can learn from others. All beings know things or have skills, talents, knowledge that we lack. So we were guided here to develop an open attitude towards others, a receptiveness towards them, knowing that we can learn from them. Then in the third verse, we are guided that whatever I am doing, whether I'm engaging in some physical activity or in speech, I must ensure that my mind is free of afflictions. And to do so, I need to cultivate an appropriate motivation, a motivation of wanting to benefit and not wanting to harm, and ensure that that motivation remains present in my activities. And in this way, I will keep my mind free from afflictions, and I'll be able to be of benefit to others. And in the final verse that we looked at yesterday, the 4th verse, there we are guided in how to relate to those who are ill-natured, whose personality is quite vicious or self-centered, and to recognize that they are not their afflictions. Their mind is overwhelmed, and they are therefore suffering, and therefore to hold them dear. And this links through what we've been looking before, to recognize they are more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel. They are as precious as a rare treasure. And to hold them dear, recognizing that this is a being in deep pain. Now is my opportunity to help them skillfully to ease their suffering. So what we've looked at thus far has presented us with many practical tools in how to train our mind and live our lives in a way that is truly beneficial. In the verse we'll come to now, this continues to show us how to deal with our mind when dealing with challenging interactions with others who may be jealous of us, or who may speak badly to or about us, scold us, slander us, and so forth. The 5th verse, when others out of jealousy scold or slander me unfairly, accepting the loss upon myself, may I offer the victory to them. So the mind of jealousy, this arises in relation to many qualities that we see in others. We could be jealous of their reputation, of their status, or their relationships they have with others, their material comforts. In many ways, we can be jealous of others, thinking that I should have what they have. I deserve it more than they do. And in this way, jealousy arises within us. Jealousy then, like other afflictions, serves to disturb our mind, make us unhappy, and certainly separate us from others, sever any good relationship we have with others. So when jealousy arises within one, it can be in relation to those that one looks down on, that one sees as of lower status than yourself, or it could be in relation to those of greater status than yourself. And your jealousy could be in relation, again, to many things, that their status, their education, that people like them and speak well of them, can arise in any way, in relation to any quality in others. And then, under the influence of jealousy, it's not just that jealousy destroys our peace of mind, but under the influence of jealousy, then we usually express ourselves, express that jealousy in the second line, through, for example, scolding or slandering others. So this can happen either towards others or, as mentioned here, towards ourselves. Where under the influence of jealousy, when the mind is afflicted by jealousy, then someone will usually feel the need to express that, to put the record straight, so to speak, to say, well, they're not all that you believe them to be. They have this other side to them. And what you say may be true, it may be nonsense, but the mind is afflicted with jealousy, and it's being expressed. And it can be done by slandering the person, speaking badly about them, or blaming them for something they may or may not have done, abusing them verbally in some way. So this all follows from the mind being afflicted. The afflicted mind of jealousy comes from a strong self-cherishing, from grasping at oneself as dear. So, for example, when one's jealous of someone else's reputation or how they're regarded, one feels, I should be held in high regard, not them. Or, I should have their reputation. I should have the good relationships that they have, that I should have these. Or their material wealth, I should have. So this comes from this the strong self-cherishing. And again, as mentioned earlier, it can be from those of lower status to those of higher status, or those from higher status towards those of lower status, and in any rank in society. So it can be among spiritual teachers, one spiritual teacher jealous of the fame and reputation or the material wealth of another spiritual teacher. It can be amongst students, jealous of other students. or even and it can be amongst pupils. So they're studying at school, jealousy of how others are doing. And it can be in a place of work, and it can be amongst friend groups. Jealousy arises so easily, and it comes from this basis of self-cherishing. This affliction of jealousy, when the mind is afflicted with jealousy, not only does it disturb that individual, but usually this affliction compels the afflicted person to express it. And as we see here, they may scold or slander others, speak badly about them, but it may also lead to physical behavior. If you're jealous of their success at work, one may try to sabotage their work in some way. One may, if you are jealous of someone's material wealth, you may try to defraud them or to even steal from them. And in this way, and it's even conceivable through jealousy, one will act in violence towards someone. So this all follows from at the root, this self-cherishing, holding oneself as dear. When jealousy arises and dominates, again, it's likely one will want to express this. One will either speak badly to that person, scold them, blame them for things and so forth, or speak badly about them, wanting to put the record straight, say they're not all that you think they are. So we are very likely to express this jealousy. And then, to whomever we are talking, we are just spreading our unhappiness and making others unhappy too. And if then others respond to us with standing up for themselves, or perhaps even with aggression now that they are unhappy, our unhappiness only grows. So jealousy is a solely harmful mind. If jealousy arises within oneself, it clearly is contrary to the objectives of us as practitioners, in that one's pushing others away. And when we are the recipient of jealousy from others, the way which is, as the verse says, the way to deal with it is just what we looked at yesterday, which is to respond with patience. For patience to arise when others are perhaps scolding us or speaking to us unfairly, we need to have trained our minds well beforehand, recognizing that this person who's speaking to us in an unfair manner, for example, they are not their mind. Their mind right now is afflicted, which means they are in pain. And what they are saying towards us is merely an expression of their pain, and merely they're expressing their affliction. Therefore, it's not a reflection on me, and it's not a reflection on who they are. It's just merely an expression of their afflictions. Thinking like that, or having trained one's mind like that, so this naturally arises within when others are scolding us or slandering us, then, with the mind being patient, undisturbed, love and compassion can naturally arise. Knowing that this person is suffering, compassion will arise. May this person no longer suffer. May my response ease their suffering. And love will arise. May this person be happy. And therefore may my response ease their suffering and lead them towards happiness. So therefore this way of thinking that's presented here, this mind of patience, is the cause for happiness for both the patient person as well as the afflicted person they are engaging with. And the final two lines presents how bodhisattvas practice. Accepting the loss upon myself, may I offer the victory to them. So the bodhisattva will take the loss and offer the victory to the afflicted person. So these final two lines are precisely how bodhisattvas practice, accepting the loss and offering the victory. So for example, if someone is jealous of a possession the bodhisattva has, they will expressing this jealousy to the bodhisattva, the response from the bodhisattva will be one of patience, love and compassion, recognizing that this being is afflicted. This being is unhappy that the bodhisattva owns something and wants that possession for themselves. They feel they deserve it more. So if the bodhisattva, valuing this suffering being before them more than whatever the possession is, will happily give it to them. The joy the bodhisattva experiences is far greater than any loss of possession. So for a bodhisattva, they can easily and sincerely offer what this person is desiring. Likewise, if a bodhisattva is falsely accused of something, and perhaps they've been arrested and face imprisonment, the bodhisattva obviously is aware they have not been done what they're charged with, but responding with patience and therefore love and compassion, they will not be upset at their accuser, and using their wisdom, they'll decide on the best course of action, which may well be to accept imprisonment. And so for a bodhisattva to act in ways such as these is very easy to do, and something that for them is natural because of their training. This is because of their extensive training, who they are as people is someone dominated by love and compassion, and thereby responding in such a way is their natural response. And the way the bodhisattva will experience an encounter such as those I've just described will not be one where, oh, I've suffered a loss, I've given a victory to them. That's not how they will experience this encounter, because great joy will have arisen in their mind at having been able to ease the suffering of a kind mother sentient being. So the bodhisattva's mind, even if they're accepting imprisonment or they've given away a useful possession, for them, great joy arises in their mind. And this is because they sincerely hold the happiness of others foremost, not their own happiness. The achievement of happiness for others is their guiding light. So therefore, when they now have been able to act in a way that's brought happiness to someone, ease their suffering, great joy arises in the mind of the bodhisattva. And because to be a bodhisattva, the practitioner has the sincere commitment, I will stay, in fact, I want to stay amongst suffering beings, those who are afflicted and acting in unskillful ways. I want to be amongst them so as to ease their suffering. These are the beings in greatest need. And if I'm amongst humans, I'll be amongst those who are suffering the most, and I'll be with them. And I'll even be amongst beings in the hells if I can, to ease their suffering. In any way that I can be with beings and ease their suffering, I will. So therefore, having that sincere motivation, and long had that sincere motivation, giving away a useful possession, accepting some imprisonment, this is not at all difficult for them. So this is how a bodhisattva experiences challenging interactions with others. Bodhisattvas are masters of the trainings of a bodhisattva. They are highly learned and experienced or skilled in what they have, in what they've studied. And in this way, they have excellent, can be translated as wisdom or intelligence. They are able to use their wisdom or intelligence in their interactions with others. So they are not guided by emotion, but they are guided by their intelligence. So for example, when afflicted beings ask the bodhisattva for something, the bodhisattva, in their nature, they are generous. They want to give of themselves to ease the suffering of others. But with this mind of generosity, with their love, with their compassion, with their patience, these are all conjoined with wisdom or intelligence, in that the bodhisattva will not just do what is asked of them, but will use their intelligence and weigh up whether this is skillful or not, whether it is in the broader scheme of things, whether it is beneficial or not. So for example, if someone asks for assistance from the bodhisattva, but what the assistance they are asking for will lead to this person maybe being very successful in their business, but their business, in the way they run their business, involves environmental destruction. The bodhisattva will not want to be a part of that. The bodhisattva actually will want to guide the person to operate their business in a different way. Because they know environmental destruction harms so many beings, human and non-human. So therefore, the bodhisattva will readily say no, because they will use their intelligence. And if they decline it's best to decline a request, they easily will do so. So what's important to understand here is that through the training the bodhisattva goes through, they develop these various skills and qualities within themselves, and these are all conjoined with the quality of intelligence or wisdom, so that the bodhisattva can make wise decisions. When the bodhisattva is faced with the decision of, if I do this, I'll benefit this person, but harm will come to that person, or benefit will come to these people, and harm will come to these people, the bodhisattva will use their intelligence to weigh up what is the right course of action. Because what we saw right in the first verse is that the bodhisattva's attention is focused on all sentient beings. So right at the beginning of their training, long before they became a bodhisattva, favoritism or closeness to some and distance from others was eradicated. All beings are valued equally. So therefore, the bodhisattva isn't guided by favoritism, or this is my group, this is the people I associate with, more than those. Rather, the bodhisattva, with their wisdom, will be able to make the wise decision, what is actually better, and then will give of themselves or will decline the request. So let's talk a little about the well-known example of the bodhisattva who went on eventually to become Buddha Shakyamuni, who in a life as a merchant, the bodhisattva merchant ended up killing the captain of a ship who wanted to rob and kill all the merchants, the 500 merchants on the ship. So to talk a little bit, to use that well-known story as an illustration to show the kind of thought process that a bodhisattva will go through, how their intelligence conjoined with their compassion leads a bodhisattva to make decisions which on the surface seem really strange. To hear of a bodhisattva intentionally killing a human being seems quite strange. But it's a good story to understand the thought process that a bodhisattva goes through. So with the bodhisattva's clairvoyance, he was aware that the captain wanted to rob all the 500 merchants on the ship of their wares that they had gathered or gained from a successful voyage. The bodhisattva was presented with very few options. The bodhisattva would have been very happy to give his own profit or his own wares to the captain, but the captain didn't want just one person's riches, but all 500. Moreover, there was no way for the bodhisattva to subdue the captain, and therefore the only choice was to take the captain's life. And so the bodhisattva was using their intelligence and also thinking, seeing that there was no alternative to this. They couldn't offer their own goods, and there was no alternative but to forcefully stopping the captain because of the captain's determination. Moreover, if these 500 merchants were killed, not only would those merchants lose their human life, but their families would be destitute because the breadwinner now had been killed and all their wares had been stolen. Moreover, the murdering captain would suffer for countless eons in the hell realms. Not wanting beings to suffer in this way and having no alternative, the bodhisattva set about taking the life of this captain, knowing that they would have to suffer the karmic consequences, that they would end up being reborn in the lower realms because of killing. So this is the thought process that a bodhisattva will go through, and is able to use their intelligence here because of their extensive training. They're not overwhelmed by emotion at either possibly facing death or of suffering in the future, or overwhelmed by the emotion of compassion, but their compassion is conjoined with wisdom, and therefore they can think through a problem and come to the best, most appropriate solution. We are not yet skilled like a bodhisattva. We are not yet able to sincerely accept losses and give victories to others. So how then should we relate to this advice? How should we emulate the bodhisattva? So for ourselves, if others react to us or relate to us through afflictions such as jealousy, being jealous of what we have, wanting to take it for themselves, how should we practice accepting the loss upon myself and offering the victory to them? Well, let's take if we are being mugged. So we're in perhaps alone somewhere. Then there's someone who is now threatening us with violence, and because they want our possessions. So how to respond? So ideally, if one has trained well, immediately one's mind will stay calm, recognizing that this person is afflicted. And what's important in a position like this is that then one is able to think clearly. What is the right thing to do? Because if one is overwhelmed by fear and by fear, then it's not so easy to think clearly. But if one can think clearly, then one can decide, what can I do here? Can I run away? Can I overpower this person? And if you can run away, definitely, that will be the wise thing to do. But if you're not so quick, and if they're young and strong, then maybe it's best just to hand over what they want. But how the training would happen, or how the training would impact you, is that you know this person's afflicted. They are acting under the control of their affliction. They are not in control. Their desire for what you have is dominating them. So, if it will bring them happiness, let them have my watch, let them have my wallet, whatever it may be, and we give it to them. And we do so with a mind of love and compassion, wanting this person to be happy, wanting them to stop creating the causes that lead to suffering. And if they really need the money in my wallet and my watch, let them have it. And we give it to them. We give it to them as an act of generosity. And then, hopefully, this person will be satisfied and they'll go off on their day and we'll be unharmed. But not only will we be physically unharmed, but our mind is unharmed. Our mind will be, if this practice has been done well, our mind will actually be light and joyous. In this way, may I ease the suffering of others. Through my example, may this person recognize that there is another way to live their life. And in this way, we strengthen our virtuous mind towards them. This is a very different way of how people would probably usually respond. They may well give away their possessions, because that is the right thing to do in that moment. But they'll come away, they're deeply shaken, very upset and angry at their loss. So this would be a more skillful way for us to respond if we have trained well. Our practitioner would deal with theft, having their possessions stolen from them. Maybe their house is broken into or their car is stolen. So things that are of value, are of use in their lives. So how a practitioner who has trained well will respond is anger will not arise towards the thief. They will recognize that this person was under the control of their afflictions. This person had no freedom, but was controlled by their afflictions. And this person is not their afflictions. So this is how a practitioner will respond, with a patient attitude. So I don't need to tell you that's very different from how people in the world respond. They'd get angry. They would, and if the thief was caught, they would express their anger towards them, hopefully only verbally, but they certainly would not be holding this person dear. And from such a response, we have to ask ourselves, what is the benefit of getting so unhappy? What is the benefit of having the afflictions explode within you? It doesn't get your possessions back. It's not making you happy. No benefit comes from such a reaction. Rather, if one is trained well and one is patient, one will be able, with a mind not afflicted, able to make the right decision. And that will almost certainly be to go to the authorities and to report the loss, go to your insurance and so forth, report the loss. But do so with a mind that is not afflicted. And if you are able to get your possessions back, if they are found, fantastic. If not, then that's how it is. But there's no benefit from a yearning or longing for your lost possessions, no matter how useful or valued they are, or for being critical, aggressive towards the person who stole from you. So all that one would do from responding that way is strengthen one's habituation to the afflictions, as if these afflictions are, on this instance, justified. So that's an ignorant approach that doesn't help. Rather, the practitioner would immediately respond with patience, and using their intelligence would do what they reasonably can to get their possessions back, and rather by valuing this person who is so afflicted, a sense of care for them will arise. A wish, may this person be happy. And if having these possessions is going to bring them happiness, let them have them. And with a genuine wish, will give the possessions away. And will also, through this act of generosity, dedicate the merit so that this person then, may this person turn away from this behavior. May this person come to recognize that this isn't skillful means by which to attain happiness. May this person turn away from accumulating the causes of suffering. May they recognize what are the causes of happiness and no longer destroy them. So this is how a skilled practitioner responds. They are able to take an unfortunate situation such as having their car stolen or their home burgled, and instead of accumulating non-virtue in relation to this unwanted situation, they are able to transform it into virtue. They are able to transform the situation into the paths that will lead to enlightenment. And they will feel, their mind will be calm, and they'll feel warmth and closeness towards the suffering being. And they'll make prayers that they continue to spiritually develop to be of help to those who are so in need. So there are so many situations in society and that you would have encountered, or you would have been on the receiving end of these unwanted circumstances where things are done to us which are unwarranted and unkind. So it could be, of course, things like having our possessions stolen. It could be where our requests are just dismissed. It could be where those with power and authority hurt us or hurt our loved ones. So these things are very common in society. How we respond to them, though, this is crucial, because the usual way, the afflicted way, it just exacerbates the harm. Thinking about what a person has done to me or done to my loved one, or a group of people have done to me or my loved ones. From this, resentment will arise within us. Thinking about them in harsh ways, seeing this person or this group of people as being hideous people, as bad people, and from this a wish for revenge will come. May bad things happen to them. May justice be served. This way of thinking, these negative thoughts towards others, this only brings us down, brings our mind down, and can even lead to depression. It's a very negative, unhelpful way to think. What's far better is when one notices the mind is, one's own mind is negative towards another individual or group of people, to recognize that and to apply the teachings one has received here to that situation, to sit quietly, recognize that what this person or people, what they may have done, may well have been unskillful, unkind, harmful. You may well be perceiving everything correctly. But that person or those people are not their afflictions. Their mind was overwhelmed by ignorance or anger or attachment or jealousy, and they acted in this way. They were afflicted, they were suffering, and they were creating the causes for suffering. These people also have value. They are not pervaded, they are not exclusively evil people. May they have happiness, may they gain freedom from these afflictions and abide in lasting happiness. And if I can be of benefit to such a person, may I be of benefit to them. And if there is a way that I can, let me develop my mind so that I can be of benefit to these people. Ignore, not ignore, but let go of my grievance against them. See it as something in the past of no relevance now. And if I can interact with these people and be of benefit in their lives, I will do so. And if I cannot, if it's a group of people I have no interaction with, or it's beyond my current means, I will continue to strive to develop my mind and dedicate this merit so that I can become a person who can help afflicted beings, who can help them ease their suffering and be of less harm to themselves and others. This then is a far more skillful way to respond, rather than in our mind criticizing others, complaining about them. Rather set about turning your mind positive and striving to accumulate virtue and dedicate it to others. I just wanted to end this morning by sharing a story from my own life. That some years ago, when I was living in my monastery, I locked my kitchen, as I always did before I went out. But then I was out and I thought, hang on, did I really lock the kitchen this morning or not? And anyway, I was out, so what to do? This was some years ago, there weren't phones around. So I was out. Then I returned home, and now it was time to cook, and I was a little hungry. And I looked for the pot, I only had one, and it wasn't there. And I looked for the rice and the oil, it wasn't there. So now I had no pot, I had no food, and I looked around the kitchen, which didn't take long, there wasn't much to see. And I had no cooking utensil, nor anything to cook, so I couldn't eat. Then I recalled teachings that I received, and I thought, hang on, this person who stole from me, quite clearly they are in great need. They are hungry, and therefore they stole food, and they stole my only cooking utensil. And if I'm honest with myself, if they had come here begging, asking for this, I would not have given it. I would not have given my only pot and my only food. But their need was obviously great. So I now give it to them. It is theirs. I'm not going to pursue it further. I will let it go. And through this giving, may their needs be satiated. May they not suffer anymore. But also may they have the wisdom to turn away from non-virtue and embrace virtue. And also through this giving, may I also become through this giving of merit, may I also be a more giving person. May I also open my heart to give to the needs of others. So this is a story from my own life. And I shared this with you to show that, this approach didn't come naturally to me, but it came about independent on hearing teachings and integrating them within me. So I was able to recall that teaching and then act under its influence. Okay, so thank you. We'll continue from here then this afternoon. Thank you.